There's never a good time to make a top 25 list, because the second you make one, new games come out and your list is immediately outdated. You could argue though that this is the worst possible time to do one for PSVR 2, considering that Crossfire, Green Hell, Firewall, and Phasmophobia are all just around the corner. But don't worry, we'll be having another top 25 debate and making another list in just a few months. So for now, these are the soon-to-be outdated top 25 PSVR 2 games as of August 10th, 2023.
Delivering awesome haptics and the long-awaited multiplayer mode that never made it to the PSVR 1 original, Synth Remastered is considered by many to be the best VR rhythm game out there, with a great soundtrack to back it up.
From the creators of PSVR 1's top hidden gem Dreadhalls, Cosmodread throws you onto an infested space station and tasks you with getting everything up and running without dying. With more fleshed out mechanics, customizable creature encounters, and roguelike elements, every run is a blast.
Still the only MMO on PlayStation VR 1 or 2, Zenith The Last City delivers a huge map, a ton of loot, a nice anime style, and recent updates gave us pets, a new Cyber Ninja class, and more. Hopefully the updates, including some to smooth out the performance on PS5, keep rolling in.
It's not often a 6 out of 10 finds its way onto a top 25 list, but Survive gets its claws into you in a way that most games can't. Its campaign is playable solo or in co-op with up to 3 friends, and if you can get past all the jank, Survive delivers a fun, lengthy, rewarding experience.
Enhanced Games is charging a $10 upgrade fee for the PSVR 2 version of Tetris Effect Connected. But when you see the crystal clear graphics and particle effects, not to mention the awesome haptics from our new controllers and headset, you'll probably agree that the upgrade is worth the money.
Sporting a unique art style and managing to seamlessly combine rail shooters with the rhythm genre, Pistol Whip really is in a league of its own. The free DLC has been nothing short of spectacular, plus the sharper visuals, headset rumble, and controller haptics make it feel right at home on PSVR 2.
Push through. One hold to the left. Head sharp. Head sharp. One up top.
As someone who never watched the Zombieland movies, the fact I still love this game built around that very IP speaks volumes. And this isn't just a port. Rebuilt for the PSVR 2, including new character models, animations, lighting, ragdoll physics, a redesigned progression system and game hub. Time Crisis VR may be the dream, but this will certainly scratch that itch for now.
Rez Infinite. I've been playing this game for the last 20 years or so on various consoles, but never has it felt better than on PSVR 2. The haptics and crystal clear visuals will induce virtual synesthesia, and the PSVR 2 exclusive eye tracking makes the gameplay more seamless than ever.
I was pretty skeptical that Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge could be upgraded enough from the Quest version to feel like an actual next-gen PSVR 2 game, but I couldn't have been more wrong. The environments look great. There's a ton of first-person shooting and just enough story to make the whole thing feel epic. It's not perfect, but it's really fun.
The once king of all things VR, Beat Saber has fallen slightly from its top 5 home, but it's still an essential title for newcomers and seasoned VR vets alike. Plenty of updates, mods, and free songs have come out since its original launch, but with Beat Saber, it'll live or die based on the quality and quantity of DLC this gen, and being that it started off with a Queen music pack, it's off to a great start.
Based on late 80s, early 90s anime, Runner throws you onto a motorcycle as you play through level after level, killing boss after boss in an attempt to escape the city. The graphics are clean, weapons feel great, the soundtrack is awesome, and really, there's nothing else quite like it in VR.
Having found massive success on the flat screen, the developers over at Fireproof Games decided to try their hand at VR and brought the Room VR: A Dark Matter to PSVR 1, and it quickly became one of our favorite puzzle games. The recent release of the PSVR 2 version brought with it only minor improvements, but hey, the upgrade was free, and the game still rocks.
This is it, Operator. Conrad's deepest subconscious.
Yielding a weapon in one hand and telekinetic powers in the other, no other game quite captures the feeling of power that Synapse gives you. Add to that some roguelite elements, an awesome progression system, and a striking art style, and you've got one of PSVR 2's best games, despite its relatively short length and surprising lack of a final boss.
Inside a human mind. If those codes are anywhere, it's here.
In a world where there's no shortage of realistic military shooters, Pavlov still managed to be one of our favorite multiplayer games at launch. Not only did it give us realistic weapons and reloads, an interesting twist on proximity chat, and 10-person lobbies, but the staggering number of game modes, some traditional and some super creative, made it an amazing social experience.
Half a league.
The Light Brigade is quite possibly PSVR 2's biggest hidden gem. It's a wonderfully envisioned setting that feels like a mix between medieval times and World War II, and as a soldier of light, you'll battle a variety of enemies throughout different environments. There's excellent classes to unlock with loads of upgrades and customization, fantastical elements and tools to utilize, and a separate community progression-based mode that is endlessly changing and replayable.
More of a skateboard simulator than you'd expect, VR Skater provides both the thrills and challenges of real skateboarding, set to an awesome Tony Hawk 1 inspired soundtrack. It's hard to learn and will put you through your paces, but that just means that when everything clicks, stringing together combos becomes all the more satisfying.
There are those who look into the eyes of another and see opportunity.
No one was thrilled that Polyarch didn't have any kind of upgrade path for anyone who spent $70 on both Moss Book 1 and 2 on PSVR 1. But when you re-enter Quill's world in HD with PSVR 2 using the far more natural sense controllers, that complaint quickly starts to fade as you get lost in the magic and charm of the Moss stories.
Their stories rise to legend.
I'm constantly shocked that we don't have more games like Hubris in VR. It's a great blend of platforming, climbing, shooting, exploration, and crafting, all wrapped in a decent, unobtrusive sci-fi narrative. It's a bit on the easy side, even on the most difficult setting, but the realistic world and epic soundtrack kept me engaged until the very end.
Machines attack this settlement. Machines don't attack settlements.
As the only first-party launch title built from the ground up for VR, we had some pretty lofty expectations for Horizon Call of the Mountain. And even though it ended up being linear and far removed from what you'd expect from a typical Horizon game, the quality was astounding, and it ended up delivering a ton of awesome climbing and absolutely stunning environments, with plenty of memorable moments.
So that's it. You need someone expendable to go after him.
As one of the very few games on PSVR 1 to score a 10 out of 10 on Without Parole, we were absolutely thrilled to see Song in the Smoke get a second chance on next gen. The PSVR 2 exclusive Rekindled edition pushes the visuals through the roof, adds some great haptics, and for the first time ever allows you to jump freely, adding yet another layer of immersion to an already incredible survival adventure and world to get lost in.
Taste my steel!
I call lightning!
Who would have thought that a virtual board game fused with light D&D elements would make it into the top 10? Well, Demeo does this so well with 7 playable characters to pick from, allowing for a variety of playstyles, and 5 campaigns to complete, each lasting for hours. You can play Demeo alone, or with up to 3 friends for the best experience.
You will be destroyed!
I summon fire!
As someone who sunk hundreds of hours into the Quest version of Walkabout Minigolf and proclaimed it to be one of the best VR games ever made before the PSVR 2 version even got announced, I'm so happy to finally be able to play Walkabout on my PSVR 2 in high res without concern of my battery dying halfway through the course.
Let's forget for a minute that Red Matter 2 is a technical showpiece on PSVR 2, running at a native 4K 120 and looks absolutely stunning in the headset. Because the game itself was an unforgettable adventure and a worthy follow-up to the 2018 original. Red Matter 2 adds platforming, combat, and to mix things up even gives our protagonist a voice, but we won't hold that against them.
Something just doesn't add up. Be careful.
If I'd have known you were gonna cause this much trouble.
What might be the longest title in gaming history, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 Retribution makes its PSVR 2 debut taking full advantage of our new headset. It looks and plays great just like before, and although it's not a true sequel, featuring locations, weapons, and items from the previous game, there's enough new stuff here to make the outing worthwhile, and it brings a satisfying conclusion to the Saints and Sinners story arc. Chapter 2 is just a whole lot more of what Chapter 1 had to offer, and that's not a bad thing.
Derek's a psycho. That bomb suit he wears?
Racing sims have never been my go-to genre, but when you throw on a PSVR 2 headset, all of that changes, and the realism here, especially when paired with a full-fledged racing rig, is unparalleled. There's a seemingly endless supply of new cars to buy, realistic tracks, challenges, and rewards to keep you coming back day after day. Oh, and you can ignore those microtransactions. GT7 constantly delivers new content without forcing you ever to spend a penny. If you own PSVR 2 and want a true VRAF experience, then you need to own GT7.
What drives you? Find your line.
Resident Evil Village is a prime example of what hybrid VR gaming will start looking like in the coming years. Full-fledged AAA flat-screen games making seamless transitions into VR with tons of VRAF mechanics, making these games seem like they were built from the ground up for VR. Village tells a great story, features great moment-to-moment gameplay, and has some of the most amazing boss battles I've ever experienced in VR. And if you really want to get your money's worth, there are reasons to play and replay this one on harder difficulties, unlocking more and more powerful weapons to upgrade. It just never gets old.